IP officer in Nunavut driving his truck into an Inuk man. That follows a pattern of police brutality in the province, with 3 police-involved shootings and 2 fatalities since February. What is your response to the video in particular, and who should be held accountable for this?
We recognize in Canada that there are systemic discrimination problems that we need to address. Our justice system, we need to address challenges in our society that are a lived reality for racialized Canadians, for Indigenous Canadians. Even as we watch with horror what's going on in the United States, we know we have an awful lot of work to do right here in Canada. As a government, we have taken steps towards that, but as you point out, there's much more to do.
And
we acknowledged that Canada is facing systemic discrimination that affects our justice system and many of our institutions and circumstances that affect Canadians of various origins. And that's why, as a government, we have taken concrete action in recent years, but we do realize there's still much more to be done, and we will continue to work to be better allies to all Canadians, Black Canadians and those of other visible minorities.
To Indigenous people, when you are responding to my questions with a talking point you've used all week, rather than responding to the video, you say you are responding to what's happening in the U.S. with horror and consternation, and you're not expressing those same things for what's happening in your own country.
I have said from the very beginning that Canada is not immune or exempt from the things that we see going on in the United States. Racialized Canadians, Indigenous Canadians have long suffered systemic discrimination in every part of this country. And even though we have taken significant steps over the past years, there is much more to do. And the events of these past weeks in Canada and in the United States have underlined how much more work we have to do. And we will be there to do it hand in hand as allies to the Black community, to Indigenous peoples, and to all racialized Canadians.
Hello, Prime Minister. It's Annie Bertrand-Oliver with CTV National News. Many Black Lives Matter advocates are demanding that governments defund police and instead redirect that money into disadvantaged communities. The mayor of LA, for example, announced that they will be cutting the LAPD's budget by hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you willing to cut the RCMP's budget?
I think there are many different paths towards making a better country. We need to explore the range of them. We need to look at what's appropriate in Canada, how we can best keep Canadians safe, and how we can best address the systemic racism that exists in far too many parts of our country and far too many of our institutions. We will do that as a government. We will ensure that we are supporting community organizations that need support, supporting anti-Black racism programs, supporting Indigenous peoples, as well as doing the things we need to do to keep all Canadians safe.
Does that mean you're open to it?
We need to look at what is appropriate in Canada, and I think we need to continue to work on ways with the communities affected, with Indigenous peoples, with racialized Canadians, to take the measures that they need. We have put significant funding towards frontline organizations in the Black community. We have funded Indigenous communities significantly. There is more to do. We will focus on that.
On a separate subject, it is now illegal in Hong Kong to insult the national anthem. It's a move that's widely seen as yet another infringement on freedom of expression. What specifically is Canada doing to push back against this escalation and to ensure that people fleeing prosecution in Hong Kong are welcomed in Canada?
We have worked